Rolls-Royce is a very famous name around the world. Everyone knows their cars. They are some of the most expensive and luxurious cars you can buy. Kings, queens, film stars, and very rich business people drive them. These cars are symbols of top quality and amazing engineering. People admire them everywhere. The company that makes these special cars is very large and successful. It is worth billions of dollars today. But did you know that this incredible company was started by a man who began life with nothing? His name was Henry Royce. Henry was not born into a wealthy family. Actually, his family was poor and they faced many difficulties. He did not have money or advantages when he was young. He also did not get much education. He only went to school for about 1 year in his whole life. Think about that for a moment. A man with very little education created a company famous for perfect engineering and extreme luxury. It seems like a very big contrast, doesn't it? A poor boy starting a company that builds cars for the richest people on the planet. How was this possible? How did Henry Royce manage to achieve this? How did he go from a very difficult poor childhood with no help at all to creating one of the most respected car brands in history? What steps did he take on his journey? What problems did he have to solve? This story will tell you about his amazing life. It is a journey from poverty to incredible success. We will learn about his endless hard work, his clever ideas, and his strong wish to always make things perfect. Let's explore how Henry Royce built his dream. 2. A poor boy's life. Henry Royce was born a long time ago in the year 1863. His mother was called Mary and his father was called James. His parents owned a family business. It was a flour mill, a place that makes flour from grain, but the business did not make enough money. It was failing. By the year 1867, the family had no money left. They were bankrupt. Life was hard. The Royce family had to leave their home. They moved to the big city of London. They hoped to find new jobs there. Henry was just a little boy, only 4 years old. Even at this young age, he had to start working. His first job was on a farm outside the city. His job was to scare birds away so they did not eat the crops. For this work, he received only a few cents every week. It was very little money. Henry's father got a job working in another flour mill in London, but he still owed a very large amount of money from the old business. Things were very difficult for the whole family. Then, when Henry was 9 years old, a terrible thing happened. His father became sick and died. This was very sad for Henry and his family. Losing his father made the family's money problems much worse. There was very little money for food or rent. Because of this, Henry could not go to school like other children. He had to work full-time. He found jobs selling newspapers in the busy London streets. He also got a job delivering telegrams for the post office. Telegrams were important messages sent quickly. For every telegram he delivered, he earned only a few cents. Henry worked hard, but his mother still could not pay all the money she owed. She made a very difficult decision. She could not afford to keep Henry at home. She sent him to live with an older couple. This man and woman were kind, but they were also very poor. They struggled to have enough money themselves. Often, there was not much food in their house. Many days, the only thing Henry had to eat was a piece of bread soaked in milk. He felt hungry very often. Growing up without enough good food caused problems for Henry. His body did not get everything it needed. This is called malnutrition. Also, doing hard work when he was just a small child was very difficult for his young body. These hard times in his childhood affected his health badly. For the rest of his life, Henry had health problems because of his difficult start. Life as a poor boy in London was not easy. 3. Learning and working hard. Henry only completed 1 year of school. By the time he was 15 years old, he knew very little from books. His aunt wanted to help him get a better future. She paid a small fee so Henry could start an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship is a special training program where you learn skills by doing a job. Henry's apprenticeship was with the Great Northern Railway Company. This meant Henry had to move to a different place again. His aunt paid for the training, but she did not have money to pay for his room and food. Luckily, Henry found a place to stay. He moved in with a man named George. George's son was also an apprentice with the railway company, so Henry lived with them. At night, George showed Henry and his own son how to use different tools. Henry found this very interesting. He practiced using the tools whenever he could. He spent many hours learning and making things. Even though he was only a teenager, he became skilled. He built small, well-made models of wheelbarrows using brass metal in a garden shed. Henry did not have much education, but he learned quickly with his hands and he always worked hard. Unfortunately, the money from his aunt only paid for 3 years of the apprenticeship. When the money ran out, Henry had to leave the program early. He was now 17 years old and needed a job again. He moved to a city called Leeds and started working for a company that made tools. He earned very little money, just 1 penny for each hour of work. Later, he moved again to work for an electric light and power company. Here, Henry worked much harder and for longer hours than the other workers. He often skipped meals so he could spend more time studying and experimenting with electrical parts. He wanted to understand everything about electricity. Henry carefully saved any money he could from these jobs. He used his savings to pay for night classes in electrical engineering. He worked during the day and studied hard in the evenings. The skills he learned in these classes helped him a lot. By the age of 19, he got the best job he had ever had. He became the chief electrician for the Maximum Western Electric Company. Henry felt like he was finally making progress in his life. However, this success did not last long. In 1884, the company failed. Henry lost his job once more. It seemed like bad luck followed him no matter how hard he tried. 4. Henry starts a company. Henry lost his job again in 1884. He felt sad. But this time he did not look for a new job at another company. He had a different idea. He wanted to start his own business. He worked hard all his life, but he was still poor. He wanted more from life and decided to try and become rich. Starting a business alone is difficult. Henry knew he needed some help. He asked friends from his old job if they wanted to join him. One friend, Ernest Clement, said yes. Ernest was also an engineer like Henry. He agreed to take the risk and start a company together. So in 1884, they began their new business. They called it F.H. Royce and Company. Starting a company needs money, but they did not have much. Henry only had £20. Ernest had a little more, £50. They put their small savings together to start. With their money, they rented a small workshop space in Manchester. It was on Cook Street. They also lived there, sharing just one room above a shop. Life was very hard at the beginning. They did not have much money for food. For a long time, they could only afford to eat simple sandwiches every single day. They started by making small electrical parts. These included things like lamp holders and bell sets. Henry always wanted to make things perfectly. He made sure their products were high quality and better than things made by other companies. He always did what he knew best. He worked harder than everyone else. After lots of testing and hard work, they created their first successful product. It was an electric doorbell. People liked it very much because it was well made. Soon, many customers wanted to buy their doorbell. Henry and Ernest became very busy. Henry often stayed up working late into the night. He sat at his desk making more and more doorbells. Selling the doorbells made them some money. They used this money carefully to help the company grow. They started making bigger and more complicated electrical products. They began building generators which make electricity. Later, they even made large electric cranes, which are machines used in factories to lift heavy things. F.H. Royce and Company grew bigger every year. They created more products to sell and they received more orders from customers. The company made more money. In 1897, the company had orders worth £6,000. Just 12 months later, in 1898, the orders were much larger, worth £20,000. By 1899, the company's value was £30,000. This was a very large amount of money in those days. Henry and Ernest were not poor anymore. Their hard work had paid off and their company was a big success. They were becoming wealthy men. 5. Henry makes a car. Henry and his friend Ernest worked very hard in their business. Their company made electrical things and it became very successful. Soon, Henry and Ernest had a lot of money. They were not poor anymore and their lives became much better. Now they could think more about their personal lives too. Henry and Ernest were always very close friends. They then became family when they married two sisters. Henry married Edith Punt and Ernest married Minnie Punt. The two business partners were now brothers-in-law. With the success of their company, Henry had more time and money for other interests. He could think about new and exciting projects. At this time, cars were still very new technology. Not many people in Britain owned them. But Henry Royce became very interested in these new machines, called automobiles. He wanted to understand how they worked. In 1901, Henry decided to buy his first car. He bought a used car that was made in France. It had a small engine with only 2 cylinders, but the car was not in good condition. It was old and unreliable. When Henry first got the car, it did not even start. It seemed like a very poor machine. But Henry was a very skilled engineer. He knew a lot about machines. He looked carefully at the French car's engine and all its parts. Just one day later, he fixed the car and its engine started working. Henry did not stop there, though. He drove the car, but he found many problems with it. It often broke down and did not run smoothly. So he continued to work on it in his free time. He made many changes to make it better. He improved many different parts because he believed everything should work perfectly. Henry spent a lot of time fixing and improving the French car. He learned exactly how it worked. He also saw all its weak parts and poor design. After making many improvements, Henry had an important idea. He thought, This car still has problems even after my work. I am sure I can build a much better car than this. He decided he did not want to just fix other people's bad designs. He wanted to build his own car, starting from nothing. So Henry started to design his own car. He used all his engineering skills and experience. He worked carefully in a part of his factory in Manchester. In 1904, Henry Royce finished building his first cars. He made 3 cars that were all the same design. He called this model the Royce 10. These cars were very different from the French car he owned. They were built with excellent quality and great care. Henry was very pleased with his new cars. He kept the first Royce 10 car for himself to drive. He gave the second car to his good friend and business partner, Ernest. Henry decided to sell the third car. A man bought it and was extremely impressed. He could see the car was very well made and ran very quietly and smoothly. This buyer knew an important car dealer in London named Charles Rolls. The buyer thought Mr. Rolls needed to see this amazing new car. He told Henry he would arrange a meeting between them. This meeting would change Henry Royce's life forever. 6. A new friend, Charles Rolls. Henry Royce built a very good car, the Royce 10. A man bought the third car and was very happy with it. This man knew a car dealer in London. His name was Charles Rolls. The man told Charles about Henry's amazing car. He helped Henry and Charles to meet. Charles Rolls was very different from Henry Royce. Henry grew up poor and worked hard for everything. Charles was born in 1877. His family was very rich and important. His father was a baron. From a young age, Charles loved machines and mechanical things. His friends called him Dirty Rolls because he liked tinkering. Charles went to the famous Cambridge University. He studied engineering. After university, he worked on a boat and then for a railway company. But his big love was cars. He was one of the first people in Britain to own a car. When he was only 18 years old, he bought a car in Paris. Because Charles loved cars so much, his rich father gave him money. Charles used the money to open his own car shop in London. It was called C.S. Rolls & Co. He sold cars that he brought from France. Charles was not just a seller, he was also a driver. He loved driving fast and racing. He even set a speed record of 83 miles per hour. This was very fast for that time. People thought he was a daredevil because he liked danger. He raced in dangerous road races where some people died. Cars were not his only interest. Charles also loved flying. He flew in hot air balloons more than 170 times. He was also one of the first people in Britain to get a license to fly planes. He flew planes many times. In May 1904, Charles Rolls traveled to Manchester to meet Henry Royce. Henry showed Charles his new car, the Royce 10. At first, Charles was not sure. He liked cars with 3 or 4 cylinders. Henry's car only had 2 cylinders. Charles thought maybe it was not powerful enough. But then Charles drove the Royce 10. He was very, very impressed. The car was quiet and ran very smoothly. The quality was excellent. Henry Royce was clearly a brilliant engineer. Charles knew this car was special. He told Henry, "We must work together." That same day, Charles Rolls agreed to sell all the cars Henry could make. There was one condition: the cars must have the name Rolls-Royce. Charles was very excited. He drove a Royce car back to London that night. He woke up his business partner and said, "I have found the greatest motor engineer in the world." A new partnership was born, 7, making the best car ever. In 1906, Henry Royce and Charles Rolls made their business official. They started a new company called Rolls-Royce Limited. It was a perfect team. Henry was a brilliant engineer who knew how to build amazing machines. Charles was a great businessman. He knew many rich people and was good at selling the cars. Charles used his connections with important families, people in the news, and even royalty to find customers who could buy these expensive cars. First, Rolls-Royce made a few different cars. There was a 10-horsepower model, a 15-horsepower model, a 20-horsepower model, and a 30-horsepower model. But Henry Royce was already working on something even better. In 1906, he introduced a new car called the 4050 horsepower. This car had a big, strong 7-liter engine. The engine parts were made very carefully, so it was powerful but did not shake much. The 4050 horsepower car was special because it was incredibly quiet and smooth to drive. One of these cars was made as a special example to show people. The company's manager, Claude Johnson, painted it silver and put silver parts on it. Because the car ran so quietly, he gave it a special name, the Silver Ghost. In 1907, the Silver Ghost car joined a difficult test called the Scottish Reliability Trial. It performed perfectly. After the trial, the same car drove between London and Glasgow 27 times without any problems. This was amazing for a car in those days. People were very impressed. Soon, newspapers started calling the 4050 horsepower the best car in the world. Rolls-Royce liked this name and used it in their advertisements. The 4050 horsepower car was so good that Rolls-Royce decided to stop making their other models. From 1907, they only built the 4050 horsepower chassis. They wanted to focus on making this one model as perfect as possible. More than 6,000 of these chassis were built over many years, and they made Rolls-Royce famous around the world. Today, many people still call this model the Silver Ghost. Demand for the cars grew quickly. The factory in Manchester was too small. So in 1908, Rolls-Royce moved its car making to a new, bigger factory in a town called Derby. Around this time, Charles Rolls started spending more time on his other passion, flying. He loved airplanes and balloons. He even suggested that Rolls-Royce should make airplane engines back in 1907, but Henry Royce wanted to focus only on cars then. Charles became one of the first people in Britain to get a pilot's license and made many flights. Sadly, Charles Rolls' love for flying ended his life. In July 1910, he was flying his plane at an air show. The weather was very windy. As he tried to land, the tail of his airplane broke off. The plane crashed and Charles Rolls died. He was only 32 years old. He was the first person from Britain to die in an airplane accident. The company had lost one of its founders. 8. The Rolls-Royce story lives on. After Charles Rolls died in 1910, Henry Royce's health got worse. His difficult childhood with poor food and little sleep caused problems later. He became too ill to work at the factory daily. He started working more from home, but Henry did not stop working. He loved designing perfect things. Even when very sick in bed, he continued thinking about new ideas. He made drawings for new car parts from his bedside. His mind was always busy. Henry usually wanted to make only cars. But when World War I started in 1914, Britain needed help. Rolls-Royce made airplane engines. Henry designed the Rolls-Royce Eagle engine. It was powerful and reliable. It powered about half the airplanes for Britain and its friends. This started Rolls-Royce making famous airplane engines. After the war, many people wanted Rolls-Royce cars again. The cars were famous for being the best. Demand was very high. By 1921, customers had to wait 3 years to get one. The company needed to make more cars. To make more cars, Rolls-Royce opened a factory in America in 1921 in Springfield, Massachusetts. This factory built cars for American customers. In 10 years, it produced 2,944 cars. Making Rolls-Royce cars took time because quality was most important. Each car was made by hand. Henry Royce's work was important for Britain. In 1930, the king honored him. He was made Sir Henry Royce. This showed respect for his achievements, especially starting from poverty. Sir Henry Royce died in 1933, aged 70. He worked until the end. Even when very ill, he thought about designs. The night before he died, he had an idea for a shock absorber. He drew a sketch on an envelope and asked his nurse to send it to the factory. He died the next day. Both founders were now gone. But the company they started, Rolls-Royce, continued. It kept making cars and engines, following Henry's ideas about quality and perfection. Rolls-Royce is still famous worldwide. The name means luxury, quality, and top engineering. Rolls-Royce cars are very expensive. The company is worth over $7 billion. The R logo is a well-known symbol of success. Henry Royce's story teaches important lessons. It shows where you start does not matter. Even with a hard childhood and little school, you can achieve great things. With hard work and always trying your best, you can build something amazing. Henry Royce had famous words about work: strive for perfection, take the best that exists and make it better, and if it doesn't exist, create it. This idea helped make Rolls-Royce the great company it is.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.